call. And
yeah, I think that's what the time bank was used for.
Yeah.
If there's stuff, I'll come.
I mean, the problem with Jam is he's a little deep. I mean, Jam versus Ivey's stack is fine, but then he's deeper and Vogelsang covers him. So it's a tricky spot.
She has to go.
I think if they're all just like 30 blinds,
I might go to Dubai.
Jam is like very reasonable. But you know, he's like almost 50 and Vogel covers, so kind of takes that option off the table a little bit.
4 hours from here. Oh,
you know, really good flop here for Vogel and Ivey.
When I went, I didn't know pretty full end.
You know, top pair backdoor flush draw
I
versus
stay at the Burrs, all Rob.
flush draw and gutter. So these guys definitely going to put some chips in, and Heath not going to be able to continue three ways. I mean,
Ivey coming with 1/3. Ben Heath in a sandwich does have Vogelsang behind to worry about.
yeah, I mean, had it gone bet call to him, he'd definitely be out. But now, with it just the button C betting, he decides to continue. This is probably really like one of his weakest continues, I'd say. Fives with no club. And versus bet and call, Vogel's got a decision here. You know, do you check raise, try to take it down? Little dicey inflating the pot with 7 high, but I guess you're okay getting it in with Ivey, or just call and have this really be one of the strongest draws that you slow play. And he goes with call.
8 of hearts pairing on the turn.
And a card that's going to be really, in a weird way, it's kind of like a good card for Heath from his perspective, as fives is already very dicey three ways, and you were already behind an 8 anyway. This filled in 0 draws. But I think both Ivey and Vogelsang very hesitant on this card. Pairs the board.
Potential lead spot for Vogelsang?
Yeah, definitely. He can definitely have 8s in his range. He has a hand specifically that has a decent amount of equity when called and would like to take down the pot.
You got a nice house there?
Pretty good semi-bluff spot.
You can take one of the room.
Oh, you got extra rooms and shit?
Yeah, 4 rooms.
So
Take
Vogelsang in the tank. See what it comes with.
How old are you?
Did you see him come with 1/3?
Who is this guy? Yesterday was in,
And it's on the pro side, too.
what's that?
He's a pro.
He's a pro.
Does
Why is
I
opt
don't
going
know.
to
But
lead.
he was
So how
all
you
the
know?
shouting.
What's his name? Who is it?
Why is
But I saw.
Who is the guy?
So point to who? Which table?
Pro.
It's a sizable one, Brian.
Honestly, I don't know.
Comes with more than half pot.
No. I can't see.
Multi-way.
But yeah, he was shouting a lot.
Yeah, I think Vogelsang wants to get draws out. He knows an 8's not folding, and 10 probably doesn't fold. But he would definitely like to get all other draws out, because any other draw is just beating him, such as Jack 9, 9-7, or clubs. So when he's called here, I think he can be
They will switch our table after
heavy.
15 minutes.
And now Vogel has to ask himself, well, you're never getting 3/8 to
Yeah, they'll
fold,
move
but
us to-
for 60% pot, can he get
Better.
Wow.
10s and 8s to fold?
What a gangster.
And yeah, and Vogel decides that, yeah, he can maybe get 10s and 8s to fold here. Man, I wish I folded that. Kind of knew he had the nut flush. Will that affect his psychology in this one? Does it want to just call it off twice in the same tournament and be out? Will he be able to separate the hands?
Waiting, bro.
This is a tough spot.
See if he
Some
comes
pot.
with the okay
Oh,
call.
it's putting it in. That's the put in. You stack them. Oh, but he's hesitating. He's going to do it.
You should put the 200Ks in front.
Phil Ivey deep in the tank again.
There we go,
Makes
Phil.
the
I knew he was
call.
going to do it. Let's go,
10-6
buddy.
of diamonds, and he's going to get shown the 7 high from Vogelsang.
That's my guy.
Let's go, Phil Ivey.
Nagy isn't supposed to, I think versus a button 3-bet, it's kind of 9s-ish where you start 4-betting there. So when you go down to 6s, you can, you know, when you're right and everybody's bluffing, it works out great. And you pick up the pot. When you're wrong, you get yourself in tough spots and, you know, sometimes end up losing big pots with hands you maybe shouldn't have gotten involved in.
Well, on the topic of big pots, perhaps one developing here back at the pro table where Adrian Mateos, as his ace-5 suited, going to work with the gut shot straight draw acquired on the turn against these two queens of Seidel.
Yeah, and
Bringing you up to speed, Rasty. Seidel open to 4,500. The 3-bet from Mateos to 14,000 pre-flop was flatted. Then on the 9-8-4 rainbow board, Seidel would check out of position, face a bet of 20K, which he called. And here he has check called once more with the sizing going up to 57K. Has 187,000 in the middle now, and Mateos is unimproved as Seidel checks a third time.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mateos give this up here. I think after getting called on the turn, it's probably pretty clear. Seidel has a hand out like ace-9 suited, 10s, jacks, queens, and it's like, do you really think you're getting your opponent to fold those hands? I don't know. I know Mateos has almost no showdown. You know, actually, maybe you're beating Jack 10, but that probably folds turn. So, yeah, basically no showdown. So it's very tempting to bluff, but you know, we can see Seidel has queens. I really don't expect Seidel to fold queens. I wouldn't expect him to fold an overpair here, the way this hand played. But sometimes you never know till you try. And Adrian Mateos is a person who is definitely willing to try some bluffs.
Oh
and
my
he's
goodness,
going
he's
for it.
jamming all in.
He had a really cool bluff the other time where he like check raised queen 6 and ended up getting Chidwick to fold aces in a pot in a previous tournament. And he really went for it. It was Jack 3, ran out deuce 5, and the flop flush draw got there, and he just had queen 6.
For Seidel as played, Rast, is this just a question of am I up against kings or aces? Is there some 9-9-8-8 in there?
Maybe 9s or 8s. The problem is those hands flat a lot too, but it's possible. Maybe like 4-5 suited or ace 4 suited, although those hands probably don't bet turn, at least ace 4 probably doesn't. So, and then yeah, aces and kings are the, I'd say, a big part of that range.
And this decision is for all of it, Rast.
Yes. And queens at this point are pretty much mostly bluff catching. The problem is that sometimes you have to catch bluffs.
And he's done exactly that.
And queens is a good hand to catch a bluff with here, in my opinion, so.
Nine.
Obviously, the hand would go L5 with aces. Sorry. The hand would go L5 aces, and I have Jack 8 of diamonds on stream.
No, just watching on the app.
I goaled the shove pre-flop, and was like, goaled again. I goaled another shove, and I was like, oh, fuck this. And I called, and then he checked to me on 4-4-2, 2 spades.
I think Sam just talking about, we all saw the hand aces Yuri had. It was 4-4 deuce flop. He's just saying that I believe he randomized, rolled a shove 2 different times in the hand. He obviously didn't do it because he didn't go all in. So he randomized and didn't go with his randomizer. That's pretty strong.
Greenwood.
Yeah, that's what he's just said.
Wow.
Like, I have a pretty hard rule that if I ever go to my randomizer, I make myself go with it. I think I've only broken that rule like 1 time that I can remember.
And what was the reason for you breaking that
And it
rule?
wasn't even in like a huge spot like a final table. It was just, I rolled something and then after I was like, you know what, I shouldn't have even randomized here or something.
Right,
That was
okay.
it 1 time that I've ever done that.
So you rolled and then felt like it wasn't a spot that you needed to randomize, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, or, you know, but that's the thing. When you decide, hey, I'm going to randomize this, you just need to go with it.
I assume
Otherwise,
he's
don't
talking about
randomize.
pre-flop, right?
No, you can randomize all kinds of spots.
No, but him going all in would have been pre-flop.
Maybe.
Surely not on the 9 of
Well, he
spades.
said
so-
he did it twice during the hand, I believe, in what he was saying. So, I
Wow.
mean, it couldn't have only been pre-flop if he did it twice.
Davies rivering a straight.
His opponent has pretty close to the worst hand possible. You can't have 8 high with 8 deuce, but 9 high is next up. And check is the best way to get money out of the nut low.
1.3 million in the middle, worth fighting for.
And when you have almost the worst hand possible, it provides a lot of reason to bluff. And we have seen Kale willing to bluff.
Especially with an 8 in his hand. Comes with what looks like half pot.
And that 700,000 Kale will not be seeing anymore at the conclusion of this hand.
The old time bank raise incoming, potentially.
Most likely. You know, it could be genuine decision between raise and call, or if raise, how much. And yeah, it could be a little bit of Hollywood.
2.1 million. 2.1.
Burns with a bit of
How much time bank chips do you have left to?
TV time. Asking how many time bank chips Davies is playing.
Yeah, because he used one, so I guess he's trying to decide how likely is it that he was Hollywooding with that decision to use the time bank.
Fold. Fold.
Well, Seth Davies has done a stellar job of separating himself.
Built his tech. I don't even know how he got him. He's also
I saw
solid.
something little then. I don't know what it was, but it's probably a small card.
अभी राजा गुलाम था छोड़ दिया
Yeah, I know, but if I see it, other
525 11 10 था
I don't know what it is, but
1170
it's
था
something small,
525
like
call
not
कर
pain. Guess I'm just giving some empathy out here.
Kale Burns, 6-5 offsuit. Tournament chip leader.
Yeah, all good, mate.
Zero chance he ever folds this hand. This guy loves to play post flop.
As prophesized, Burnsy does defend. We'll go up against Davies, who has flopped trips. Lucky for Kale, he has flopped nothing.
Queen Jack expected to see bet these boards, so might as well bet when you got it. Occasionally you can do some funny plays from your opponent. You want to go small. Give your opponent the next chance to do something silly. Really small, 40,000. Oh man, is Burns gonna do something? He's got try and rep a queen. You see, gears are spinning on how can I win this pot.
180.
180 is the play.
Oh boy. That downsized bet from Davies was really an invitation for Burns to target it, and unfortunately for Kale, he accepted.
Davies. Queen Jack should take his time. Try to make it look like you got some medium pocket pairs that maybe Kale can try to blow you off of by the river. That's the call.
The cage match just begun.
And that flat does produce a 9. Kale suddenly has a straight draw.
Burns want to continue the story. Knows Davies started his hand in second place. Might not want to play it a huge pot. Inside straight draw is pretty tempting to consider barreling again.
350.
Oh my, 350.
And now the wounds are self-inflicted and deeper for Kale Burns.
Davies is gonna take his time. Contain the pot, just call again. Leaving Burns to hang himself. There's the call. I think Burns has got to be a bit scared soon. Quick calls, no time banks used.
Now the 9 will be a bit of a relief to Davies as it counterfeits pocket 7s. I guess you can't really call it counterfeiting, but you know what I mean.
I understand.
And no longer is the jack a kicker concern in the event that Kale slow played something like a king-queen. Diamonds don't get there.
Well, Kale is thinking about betting again. Trying to fold out pocket pairs and ace-high flush draws, king-high flush draws. That could call check raise and call turn bet.
Well, that double-edged sword that you and I discussed is on full display here.
He's wondering, did Seth Davies really bet just 40K with a queen on the flop? And he's reaching for chips and he's put him out.
$250,000 chip bet into almost 1.3.
The bet is designed to fold out the flush draws. Also, some pocket pairs I might got counterfeit, like pocket eights that would have to bluff if it got checked too.
Yeah. But the thing about the flush not getting there and somebody betting into us is, you know, if you were up against a flush draw, the flush draw hasn't hit yet. So you don't need to get that flush draw out of there on the end unless your hand is so weak itself that you can't go to showdown.
Yeah, and 6-high qualifies as one of those hands that can't get the showdown. Davies has got to feel very comfortable. There's no reason not to raise. It's impossible, I would say, for Burns to have pocket 9s here. I've never seen a player check raise pocket 9s on this board.
Well, to his credit, Kale Burns snap folds after Davies says all in.
Nice time you use.
They're playing 150K big blind.
$450.
Yeah, I'm confused, Brian. I think I heard Greenwood say 450.
Yeah,
which would mean it's a 3x open from Seth.
But it looks like based on the pot and everything that 250 was put out and called because that would be 500K plus the 150K ante and the 75K, that's 725. So it looks like in this pot, a less than min raise was put out by Seth and accepted by Sam, and nobody else at the table, including the dealer, is any the wiser. So I believe, whatever. I mean, it's accepted action. So at this point, it's too late. But
did say 450, I believe.
He did, but he might have been asking about the size of the bet and saw it was 250 and called 250. Oh well.
Davies with 250,000 c-bet. Greenwood obliges with 2 overs, backdoor hearts.
Will Davies do kind of like a double barrel semi-value here? If he does that, he almost certainly would check the river unimproved. Decides to check back turn and hits a great river for him. One where Sam's in an interesting situation. If king high isn't good, then her opponent very likely had ace high and made the wheel and won't fold. Yet it is kind of hard for him to have too many weaker hands than king 7 of hearts.
Would have to be turning. So would have to check a hand like queen jack, jack 10 on the turn.
Yeah, which could happen, right? He just check called flop. He could have some of those slightly worse type hands, the queen jack 10 high, etc., that have backdoor flush draws.
Greenwood with the double time bank on this river.
He does bluff. I would guess he's gonna go maybe big enough to try to get some 2 pair type hands to fold.
Oh, he bombs.
Yeah.
1.5 million river bet from Greenwood.
So, I mean, I think this bet figures straights probably call him, but is trying to get hands such as 7s to kings to fold, as well as if he has any other 2 pairs.
Action on Davies.
Maybe can it get his hand as good as Seth's to fold an ace? It's a big ask, but I guess it's possible. What do you think?
It feels like a really big ask, but given the way this hand played out, and given the fact that it's, cut off the big blind, I like Greenwood's hand selection.
Yeah.
Story checks out as well.
I guess he is going big enough, honestly, to maybe ask an ace, because you're calling 1.5. If Greenwood, you ask yourself, could he be doing this with an ace, maybe to get you off a chop? But then what? There's 1.2 in the middle, so you would chop 600. So if he's doing this with an ace, I'm chopping. I'm getting 600 back out of the 1.5. Now, obviously, if he's bluffing,
It does flick in a call, and Davies now the overwhelming chip leader.
Yeah, I mean, felt like trying to get an ace to fold. There's a big ask. I agree, but I do think it works against 2 pair.
King 7 of hearts. A lot of ways to